Well, hello and welcome back to another video. At the moment it's raining, it's drizzly rain, it's not too heavy, so hopefully it shouldn't get in our way. But you'll remember in my last video I came to Stanley Park, we had a walk around some of the trails. I didn't actually find anything to photograph in here. Now because it's winter time, there's a lot of deadfall, it's quite messy, it's quite chaotic, but I wanted to see if I could find at least one image as I'm walking through these trails, and I want to venture a bit further around on the coast. I was really pleased with the images that I managed to capture on that log down on the coast there. Now I have been out doing some street photography on the night time during the week. I've just been having a wander about with the camera with the 35 and the 50mm locks here just to see what images I can grab. So if I've got any images I'll put them on at the end of the video. And I am planning on doing another street photography video, so don't worry about that. There will be another street photography video coming. But for today, I just wanted to explore some of the trails in Stanley Park, see if I can come across anything to photograph. Head down to the coast, see what's down there. No plan, just a general walkabout. So we'll see what we'll get up to today, see if this rain stops, see if we get a bit of sunshine, and see how the day goes. Now I've never actually photographed any subjects or trees or anything like that within Stanley Park itself. Now the reason being, a lot of the time is quite busy with foot traffic, and this time of the year it is really messy. You'll be able to see all the leaves are rotten on the floor and there's lots of deadfall, and yeah, it doesn't make for interesting shots. But as I've been coming across this part of the trail here, this moss on the lower part of this tree, some of the root system, it really stood out. You could see it from a mile away because it's got a bit of an opening in the sky above. It's really highlighting these mosses, and especially because we're getting that rain, it's moistened all the mosses so they're really bright. And there's a bit of contrast there because the barks are quite dark because they're wet. I'm actually putting the 24mm 1.4 Sony GM on, and I'm going to get up nice and close to the beginning of this root system. And what I'm going to do is, it's probably going to be coming in from the left hand side, just off centre, and it's just going to reach over, right over to my right hand side. But if you look in my left corner there, there's another tree, so it continues over to the right hand side of the image. So that's what I want to do. I want a nice wide shot. It'll either be a 16:9 or a pano, and that's what I'm going for. Now it is still raining, but it's just drizzle, it's nothing too major, and I'm getting quite a long shutter speed, but because it's still and we don't have any breeze or wind or anything like that, I'm getting away with round about 4 seconds. So I'm putting the polarizer on just to take some sheen, because where you've got the bare pieces of wood there, the bare pieces of bark, there is a bit of a sheen on it, so I just want to get rid of that sheen. Now the background's not awfully interesting, but the good thing about the background, because I'm getting up close and getting low down and tilting the lens slightly forward there, it means I can discard any sky. And luckily there's no sky creeping in the trees behind, so it'd be a nice moody dark background, but the main interest is going to be these mosses, and they really are going to stand out. They're going to be nice and vibrant. So what I'm going to focus at f16. I'm just going to take one shot because the background isn't particularly interesting. One shot just to get this main subject in focus with the 24mm, and we'll see how we get on. But great little find, first image of the day. I don't know where the day is going to take us. We'll just have to see. Now the weather is supposed to be sunny today. I can't believe it's actually raining at the moment, but that's just the way it is. But I'll try this first shot and I hope you like it. So as you can see, I'm down at the beach now, made my way out the forest. The good thing is the rain stopped. It's beautiful now, it really is. The sunshine that was promised, it has came out now, so absolutely splendid. Now there isn't a lot of people down at the beach today. It's lovely and quiet, so I've got the place to myself. Now I've came to the furthest point because what we've had over the winter time is the seawall at Stanley Park. We've got a seawall that goes all the way around Stanley Park. A lot of it's been destroyed because of the storms, and the walls have actually collapsed and they're rebuilding them. So I've came to the furthest point and I'm going to walk back on myself, exploring the beach, looking for logs, looking for areas of interest, those intimate scenes. Just like in my last video, you know, we came across that serpent. If you haven't seen that video, I'll pop it on the screen above. So I really wanted to explore more of this coastline. It really intrigued us last time to see what sort of shots you can come up with. And that's another reason I encourage you to do it. You know, you can do it literally everywhere. So as you can see, I've got set up for my first shot. Took a bit of setting up because I'm shooting from above, but it's all set up and ready to take now. So this shot that I'm going for, I've got the 1:400 on. You'll be able to see came from above, because going from above really does give it a different look. Now because the tide's just gone out, the log's still got some of that moisture. It's still holding a lot of the moisture, and I love some of the sheen on it as well. You know, we haven't got any bright sunlight, it's been diffused, but some of the sheen on the top of the log really is adding some texture along with the colours, and it's just going to be a nice abstract of this log to start. Now what I've done is I've gone in at 200mm, got as close as I can with the 1:400, and then gone into 200mm. But most importantly, I set up the polarizer before they actually put it on the lens itself. Now the reason for that is, if I was to put the polarizer on then start adjusting it, there's a chance that I'm going to knock focus, and I want it at bang on 200mm. That's the composition that I want to get. So the less fiddling about when you're in a situation like this where you're photographing downwards. You've really got to concentrate on setting the shot up. You've got to be aware of the sunlight, you've got to be aware of the tripod legs creating shadows within the image itself. Now they're not in the wood that I'm photographing, because I'm shooting it up from above. When I first looked at it through the camera, obviously I was attracted to the colour first, then the sheen, and then I needed a subject to put within that. So when I looked through the viewfinder, it actually looked like a whale's eye. It really does. Because you can't see the knot coming out the top, it actually looks like it concaves in. It really does. So it just shows you're getting a different angle, creates a different look to whatever you're photographing. So yeah, so that's it. So I'm going to do 3 shots. I'm going to focus stack this one. 3 shots, f16, see how it works out, and I'll put it on the screen above. So I'm having a good look around this beach, see what I can come across. Now I came across a subject here that really stands out. Now I said to you about, you know, when the tide goes out, it leaves moisture on the rocks, it leaves moisture on any tree stumps that are on the beach. So going to the beach just as the tide's gone out, it's a good time to go if you want to do abstract and look for those intimate scenes, because the fact that you've got moisture there, any colour there, it's going to really stand out. It's also going to help with contrast as well. Now I've came across this little scene in between this big boulder to my right hand side. There's some smaller rocks, but I looked in the crevice, there's these like barnacles on the side of this grey rock. It looks almost slate looking, it's really grey, but because you've got that grey the rock's wet, it really does create some nice contrast. So I looked at it, I was attracted to them, put the 1:400 in on, went a bit closer, so I've got as close as I can with the 1:400. I got a surprise how much colour there was there. There's blue, white with green. It just really stood out and popped, and that's what I want to capture. So I'm actually selecting a small area of this rock. I'll put some video on the screen above so you can see how different it looks when you zoom in at 400mm. So always be aware that that's something that might not stand out to you with the human eye. If you really focus in, it can change. It can totally change how the image looks. So that's what I'm going to capture. Now put the polarizer on just to add a bit more contrast, make those colours a bit more vibrant. Now normally I would use a remote shutter, but because I'm on the beach, I'm on sand. Luckily the first two legs here are on a boulder, a rock that's coming out of the sand, but this one is in the sand, so I've bedded it down as much as I can. So I'm not going to use a remote shutter because I am on sand. I want to make sure I'm away from the tripod when the camera's taking the shot. So I'm going to put it on a 10-second timer, walk away, grab the image. But having a great day, nice and peaceful, and see how this shot works out, and I'll put it on the screen above. Scouring along the beach, wasn't really coming across anything, but I've came across this and it looks great. There's plenty of interest. I'm sure there's a couple of images here, something I always look for, and that's the great thing about abstract. You can really, you know, take your time, just relax and sit back and have a look and see what you see what stands out to you. So what stood out to us here first of all is, love this area of interest here. We've got the nice curves and shapes, and there's some nice textures there. Because that tide's just gone out, it's still creating some nice different shades. You've got the lighter shades and then the darker shades, and it's just lovely and smooth, but with plenty of detail at the same time. So I put the 100 to 400 on. I put the landscape polarizer on because there is a bit of glare in here. Now I can't get rid of all the sheen, it's not taking it all away, but it's taking a good part of it away. And I'm just going to focus stack. Now it is quite deep in certain areas, so I'm probably going to take around about 5 to 7 shots, and that'll get everything sharp that I want sharp. Now you'll be able to see we are getting the sunshine from time to time, and it does get quite strong at times, so ideally I'm waiting for some of that cloud before I can get this image. Now it is quite shaded in here, like I said before. There's a bit of sheen in there that I don't like, but maybe that as time goes on that'll dry out a bit more. But making use of these textures before the wood actually dries is really important, that I'm finding the more I've been out on the beach looking for subjects to photograph. So I'm going to carry on and look around all this interest that I've got in front of us here before it does dry out, before we do lose them textures, because once it dries out it'll look pretty bland and it'll look pretty flat. So another image in the bag for today, so just need to see if I can get another. Now the problem I'm having at the moment is we are getting a lot more sunshine now. There's a lot less cloud in the sky than there was before. So the sun is starting to make its way around onto the front of this stump here. So I want to try and get another image before we lose all that dampness. You know, like I said, it's going to help with those textures. It's going to give you some contrast between the lights and the darks. So once that dries out, that will disappear. So I've came across a composition here that I like. It's a small scene, but I love when you're going in with the 1:400. I'm going in round about 125mm again. I've got as close as I can. And what I'll do is I'll put some video up so you can see the composition that I'm going for. But the same basis as before, I am going to be going for about 5 to 7 shots because there is some quite deep indentations there. So I want to make sure that I get it all, or get as much of the texture and detail as I can. And I'll stack them in post. So what grabbed my attention was the lighter part of this image that you can see on the screen. And it actually comes up from the left hand side and it forms like almost like a wave like shape in the center, and then you've got some lovely dark textures to the left and the right hand side, and I just love the way that it curls up and flips over into the center of the screen. But because I've gone in closer to 125mm, it's also picked out the details around the edges. There's some color there as well. So I'm interested to see how this looks when I get it back. It looks great on the back camera, so I'm doing it at f16, 5 to 7 shots. Now I'm getting round about 1/6 of a second. I'm not getting any glare, so I'm not worrying too much about not having the lens hood on. Like I say, I can always put my hand there or put a filter case there to block out that sun. Now I did have a message on my YouTube channel saying, why don't you use a diffuser? Now we have got a diffuser, and that's a great idea, it really is. But the diffuser I've got, it's huge. It would be too big to bring out with us, but a great idea. So thanks for leaving that comment below my video. So I'm gonna get back, I'll get this shot. I'm getting 1/6 of a second, f16, about 5 to 7 shots, and I'll put it on the screen now. Well, I really enjoyed myself down at the coast there. Hope you enjoyed the images. It was beautiful down there. The only thing was it got a bit sunny, it got a bit bright. Now once that happens, once the sun gets up, you know, bear in mind the tide had just gone out, so it left all those contrasty scenes with the darks and the lights, and then you had the textures of the wood and the bark. When you get that sunlight, it dries it out. So what happens there is it actually flattens the scene out at the same time. So having some of that moisture in there, it really does help with that contrast, gives it a bit more depth. So always bear that in mind when you go down to the coast. If you go down to the coast looking for what I've been looking for today, go when the tide's just gone out. That's when you're going to be able to see more patterns, more shapes and more images. Now I've been looking for images, not for today, for the future. Because it is messy. You'll be able to see that the ground's just flattened because of all the snow we had while I was in the UK. They had a tremendous amount of snow, so it's just been absolutely flattened by it. So I came up into Stanley Park, I've had a walk around. Now I came across a tree that I really like. Now I wanted to take a photograph of it today, but it just didn't work. because of all this mess and untidiness around the tree itself, it just didn't make for the shot. But it's a shot that I've pinpointed for next time. You know, once we've got the ferns, once everything's grown, I think it could make for a really interesting shot. So that's another thing to do when you're looking about and searching for compositions and images. Pinpoint areas that you know to go back to at a different time of the year. So I will go back to that tree. But I've had a thoroughly enjoyable day, and I hope you can take something away from today's video. Now, I said in my last video, I haven't got transport, but I'm making the best with what I've got. And the best with what I've got at the moment is the area and the location that I live. So I'm utilising it, I'm learning all the time. And that's why it's important to try all types of photography. Don't just stick to street, don't just stick to landscape or abstract. Try them all. So it's good to learn a variety of genres of photography. So that's why I push it so much, and that's why you always see me doing different types of videos. I have been out doing street photography, and I said at the beginning of the video I will put some of those images up at the end of today's video. So if you've enjoyed today's video, don't forget to leave a comment below. I'd love to read your comments. Give us your input and your thought on the video and my images. Helps us with future videos to make sure my content is up there. If you like what you see and you haven't seen my channel before, hit the subscribe button. But from me and Stanley Park, thanks for watching. See you again soon. Bye bye.